Peggy reported. Secretary Peggy read last month's minutes. Maggie Sherrard, George Harmeling moved and seconded they be accepted. Peggy also recommended a wonderful show at the Dixon Garden and Gallery. Mary Van Giesen is a paper artist and has some great works on view in the Mallory Wurzburger galleries. Beth Mitchell wanted to know if we were willing to do lettering for the church. She hasn't heard exactly what and how many needed to be done, but she will let us know. Also, MIFA would like us to address envelopes again. They will need them by December 2nd, and they don't need to be done in calligraphy. She will contact Dixie at Menage. 5 people volunteered. Library. Maggie Naylor brought in some books on layout and design workshops and had received some recommendations and will send out an email asking for more. New business. Lois Benson will be making a trip to Paper and Ink in Nashville on November 10th. If you want her to pick up something for you, please place your order and pay for it ahead of time. We still need someone to take the position of second vice president. Beth Mitchell has offered to be on the committee to help the second vice president. The meeting was adjourned at 6:45 p.m. and it was moved by George Harmeling and seconded by Maggie Sherrard. The evening's program was given by Norma Powell.
I hear any additions to that, or shall we just go ahead and accept it as is? Is your motion?
Move to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, treasurer's report.
Don't really have a report, but I'll tell you, I have, as of now, I have 13 people that have paid their dues, and but there are more because some are paying on PayPal, and I can't get into it. And Gavin has got pneumonia, and he's been sick, and I asked today if he felt well enough to send them to me, but he said he didn't have them, and so I've got to go to Judy because maybe she can get into it to see the PayPal people, so then I'll know.
Okay.
What.
Sometimes I think it better slow mail, send a check. We
Yeah.
can't get into PayPal.
Yeah.
No telling how many members have put that in there.
Yeah. I think that Judy, she can get in and get a list. And they're very careful with their security, and they have to be because there are good people now.
Yeah. Maybe membership.
Me, Maggie.
Yeah.
Well, we're taking dues, as we know. It's Leanne Dye, who has been helping me publish the books and everything. She's not going to renew again. She said she's just not doing calligraphy and she's into more watercolor. So she's dropping out. And so we'll be working with somebody to do the directory. Because I think it's really important for us to kind of keep this going. Lisa sends an updated, and I'm sure you will send that. You can just send it to me and Gavin when you get that, and we'll get all this done. Something else. Oh, I found these. If you remember, we've had this in the past. As far as I know, this is all we have left. You might want to consider getting another run of them. That's something the board can decide at another time. And we, pass them around to different locations to see if people would take them and learn about the calligraphy.
I'll look in the house and see if I've got any more left, because I gave Gavin some for the fair, and I don't know how many he has left over.
Yeah.
And I've got a few.
If we want to continue to advertise, Lisa,
I'm just curious, have we ever gotten a new member or an inquiry as a result of lively cards?
it's hard to tell. I don't know that we have or haven't, honestly. As we know, as mentioned, Gavin does have pneumonia, and we need to remember him. Anybody else ill or
some happy news or whatever?
I did send Gavin a call.
Okay, thank you. And I just want to give a great kudos to this lady sitting right here. Because have done such a great job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And just slipped right into Sandra's shoes and have done exceptionally well.
Thank you.
It's a big job. It is. So if we know anybody's sick, be sure to let her know because she is Johnny on the spot. Thank you.
You should make it back to Memphis.
Yes.
I love my built up birthday card. It's unusual.
Yeah. Sorry. With the balloons on top. With the balloons.
Yeah. Layered.
Marianne, I'm at a meeting. Can I call you when I get home?
Since we're working on
Okay,
the
thank you.
directory, I mean, we will be working. I just want to confirm, is this John Covey's president? First vice president still is Norma. Second vice president, we need to help. And that person does the programs, or her committee or his committee. Recording secretaries, Peggy. Corresponding secretary is Audrey, and treasurer is Maggie. And any other, is that correct?
Yes.
For this year. Now, we have committee chairs who the president gives. Historian, library, membership, projects, publicity, website, and workshops. So we have had in the past, Ann Brock, and she probably will continue, Lisa, Tansy. Is that a yes, you'll continue?
Yeah.
Okay. Membership, and yes, I will. Projects and events, have to ask her. And publicity is Beth. Okay,
Okay.
that's all.
Yeah. You were talking about other people. Now, I don't know if this ought to be on the report or not. Got a phone call, message, then finally got a phone call later on. My cousin, I left Salisbury last night. And after I left his house about a half hour later, he decided to come back to Olive Branch. He went to get out of his truck. He fell and he lay out there on this driveway for a half hour. Yeah.
Did you have a cell phone with him?
I think that's why he finally got some help because he didn't bother to call me because he knows I'm a weakling and I can't pick him up. He's about 190 pounds. But they got him to the emergency room last night and did all kind of x-rays, checked him over, said no broken bones. He's got some bruises and abrasions. And our friend said they finally got him home at 4:30 this morning. I woke her up at 10 o'clock, not knowing that I thought they would be out there by maybe 1 or 2 in the morning. And he's 80 years old. It's not a spring chicken. Yeah. Hey, I know there's a few of us in here that are approaching that or may have already jumped over it. And I won't mention any names,
All right, I'll put my hand up. I'm over that.
Okay, I'm over 80. You're 80? Well, I didn't know that.
No.
We're all aging gracefully in here,
You need some young blood.
That's the
Yeah.
reason I wish we could get some young people to, us, the old guild members are trying to urge younger people to come join us. And some people say, I'm interested in it, but I just don't have time to go to the meetings. And I've had one young lady, was a preacher's daughter, and she's practicing. I gave her a speedball book and some exemplars, I think one of Peggy's and one from Bill Womack. And she's working on it, but she says it's hard to do. It's hard to make the forms. She sees it and she's closed, but it's hard to do that. Okay, Lisa,
Yes.
you want to have something to say with library?
Sure.
I've got more, but thank you, Maggie, for bringing the books. So we've got books we had last time and books for tonight. So they're almost all on layout. So, and I tried to bring for tonight books that I've never brought. So you might want to come up.
Thank you. Oh, there's some good ones there too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Can you tell us about them?
The layout is by Ellen Ferber. That calligraphy tips by Bill Gray. The others aren't bad. I'm not saying that. I'm just not familiar with those, but those are ones that I have used over the years. And I have them in my library at home and I go to them constantly for ideas. So, I mean, if you're looking for something, they're good. And there's nothing wrong with the other ones. I'm just not as familiar with. It's a exhaustion.
And don't forget, I never lock my door. I'm kidding. But yeah, anybody's welcome. I'll have refreshments.
Mm-hmm.
She's not kidding. Yeah.
It's the right time of the year, she'll send you home with flowers. There's something else.
Hey, we covered most all of everything with the directory. Okay, maybe.
Tonight it was mentioned that we'd like to have a book binding workshop, and Peggy graciously volunteered to have one. So maybe we could work it out, to get that going.
Yeah.
For a workshop or for a
Workshop,
demonstration?
workshop.
So it's gonna be what, 1 or 2 days?
Oh. Okay.
Your instructor, so whatever you feel is appropriate.
It just depends on how much you want to do. I mean, we're gonna have to, if we do a bookbinding workshop, I think what I would do is send you a list of what you need. And it would include the sizes, so we don't have to spend time in the workshop cutting paper to get it to the right size.
Yeah.
So if you come with the stuff cut to the right size and find yourself some needles and, well, we may have to, I've got a spool of bookbinding thread. It's going to go a long time, so I may be able to.
And the art center's got it too.
Yeah, so I mean, if you don't want plain, you could just go, they come in colors, so you can get whatever. I will see what I can do.
Well, I've noticed
Thank
I've got it's in the 1850s, I think. Green leather cover that's stamped with gold letters. It's faded, and you can see on the binding side where it's fine. Someone has carried that book with them for years, and you open it up, the pages are crumbling from handling and oil, ink is spilled in it, some real fine writing, and all the thread is rotted.
Yeah.
It's just falling apart.
Wow. And the pages can be, they can go in and fix the pages so they're not as crumbly. But I'm not going to do any kind of book that has to be leather bound, or we were talking just small books.
Okay. We're talking about maybe a different paper cover over cardboard, maybe.
Or maybe a cardboard, an accordion fold, one that's
Okay.
a simple design. Anybody who took my mind is working tonight, I'm sorry. The foundational workshop that we did years ago, we did a 3-needle binding on that. I might repeat that. We'll see.
Kind of make a demonstrate, just, show some of the steps, then get into something a little more. If you want to do that on your own, learn how to sew what you call signatures. If you've got, what that is, 8 sheets? That's
6 to 8 sheets. Actually, 4 to 6 is what it is.
Okay.
Really.
Well, I've got some and it's 8 pages, folded, and those are stitched together.
Yeah,
And then this book has got 12 signatures in it.
yeah.
And
Make it as big as you want.
yeah, well, when it's closed, it's about like that tall. And
So,
but of course, it's printed, then folded. And apparently somebody went in there and put the machine stitch into it. And then I've seen that done hand-bound. And you gotta have leather gloves and something to drive the needle.
there are some absolutely beautiful tools for bookbinding. I've seen them on the internet, but they're available in Europe.
Oh,
I mean, so that you get the right edges along here and along here, and that you get your diagonals. They're little plastic tools, and you'd think somebody in this country would sell them. They don't, or I haven't found them.
And Mr. Donald's probably got a 25% tariff on it too.
Yeah, definitely.
They do on, I can't think of the name of the application, but one of the internet applications has got tools of that sort.
Yeah. Okay,
You can check to see if
I will talk to Ann about this and see what we can come up with.
Yeah, Beth is going to check to see if the church is available for a Saturday bookbinding workshop.
Okay, that sounds good.
Oh, neat. Oh, there's another thing. We need to pay the church for rental fees for this room for the 2026. Has that been done?
No. Not which one. I think I've paid them once since I've been, and it's probably time to do it again.
I'll check with Mary Beth. I thought
I was waiting until all the Jews came in.
I'll check. She,
She'll let us know.
Yeah. Well, we usually give something to Jamie because he
Right.
sets up the room and everything.
I'm supposed to go $100.
Yeah, maybe just,
Do we want to write a check, present that to him?
Huh?
Do we want to write him a check, present it at the next meeting, or just mail it? Or,
I'll
Let the
talk to
church
Beth
know.
about if,
okay,
if it's the same amount, if they haven't gone up or anything like that. And I think that I mailed it last time. That's what I did. But between now and the next meeting, I'll talk to Beth, get it done.
Teresa said she'd help you with that. She works at the church too.
Oh,
I was thinking Mary Beth filled everybody in December, but perhaps she did. Or she might have Judy's information.
okay. They're very generous to let us use the room.
yeah, well, as long as we don't cut up and stuff and put ink on the floor and all that good stuff. Yeah, none of that. The only way that would work is to bring in a sheet of plastic that's about 20 mil and put that down and carefully set all the tables on top and then roll it up.
Could be done, but I don't think they'd want that done.
No.
Well, we'd have to roll it up at that after the session. But let's see, jump down to old business, and I think we've pretty well covered all of that. Looking for someone to volunteer for second vice president. And we said that would be 2 people to share that instead of 1, so make life easier to prepare for programs and offer those to your monthly meetings. And any old business, that's over. Okay, any new business? I don't. Well, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
A second.
Okay. Well, Maggie had asked me about what we were going to do, and what I ran across is talking with several guild members and listening to how they prepare their work and everything and general layout and things. And I know last month, Norma presented something on layout and everything, but she didn't get into the fine points of it. And I was talking with George and we were discussing layout, line placements for the lettering,
Margins,
sir.
margins.
Margins, the whole thing. And one of the things that jumps back in the beginning, well, a long time ago, I don't know if any of you remember Alice Sullivan. She was one of our members. And we were at the Germantown Library and we had to meet in the children's room. So we had these tiny little chairs to sit in while she made that presentation. And she was talking about, someone had asked her about her background in art. And she says, well, I can't remember that Sophie something, anyway, went to college and majored in art, I think. And she was discussing that and she said, I taught art at Kingsbury High School. And I think that was probably about 1956, 57, maybe 57, 58 school year. Anyway, and I said, yeah, and she drove a bright red MG. And she turned just about as red as the MG. And she says, you were there? I said, yeah. And I said, I missed you by one student. Her class had filled up and I was next. So they got another teacher. And in that class, we had to get this little art box, Higgins ink, drawing ink, Hunt. And you had a little layout for basic lettering. And she says, I don't know how to do that. So I learned how to use the dip pens with help from my dad and mom because they were old enough that that's what they did. They had dip pens in school and had some knowledge of it. So, and fountain pens. And so my dad started me out with a pointed pen and I learned how to make the letters without splattering too much ink. And then I got one of the C nibs, learned how to do that. But also in that book, you had some layout for your lines and everything. And after I started working for the city of, worked for the county government for 6 months as a temporary. And I drew maps and I hand lettered all of the street names on it and did all kind of stuff. And my boss walked in one day and he says, what are you doing? And I said, what? And he says, have you been hand lettering all the names on these maps since you've been here? I said, yes, sir. He says, oh, stop. And he said, open the second drawer and there's this K&E Leroy box. How many of you know what that is? Okay. I didn't bring it with me. It's a box full of letter guides. And what it is a strip of plastic and it has all the letters that are slightly slanted and they're all exactly the same height. And then what we call a bug, it's a guide. It's kind of, I'll use this for an example. It has down here at this end, it has a little guide pen, round, smooth bottom. Over here is a sharper pen that you put on in the letter. They're recessed. And over here is where you have an ink pen, like any of your technical pens, or they got some that are only that high that work the same method. And you take that and you put it in the guide and you look up there and you find where you want to put the pens to make the words. And you put that and you trace each letter. You move the guide on the straight edge until you spell out your words and you keep on going. And doing that, I learned how I failed at lettering. But my goal was, I was lettering like that letter guide and he didn't know it. And it takes a lot of practice to learn to letter like that. And after I started doing that, my quality of letters kind of fell. Started working for the city and they had freehand, they had Leroy. And that was used infrequently. A lot of it was basically technical pens and the old fashioned ruling pen. And I learned
Can you
how to
still buy those, John?
Yeah.
all of that's still available. And
I have a hard time writing small like you, and
well, I've got,
she can write infinitesimally small and you can read it. And it's
well,
amazing.
I can write with the ruling pen. It would become like a Roman letter when it gets down to under a 16th of an inch high and 10th of an inch. And I brought that. I learned how in the basic in 1957 how to use architect scale. Then in 63, I learned how to use an engineering scale. This one is in tenths and maybe, well, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 parts to the inch. And yeah, and so this one's chipped because I've dropped it a couple of times. But this one, this scale is probably 1950-ish when it was made. So see, it's almost as old as we are. And this is back in the days of slide rules. And Gene gave me a slide rule. It's hard. I've forgotten how to use the thing to do the logs and some of the other functions, but you can multiply, add, divide, subtract. But anyway, what George had asked about that in pencil layout, margins, where to get back to Alice. She says on the sheet of paper, you want 1.5 inches to 2 inch side margins to the edge of the paper to stop. 1.5 inches, 2 inches at the top, 2.5 to 3 inches at the bottom on some documents that you're going to do, depending on the size of it. The bigger you do that on the smaller ones, you can do 1.5 inch margin all the way around, or maybe 2 at the bottom if you're going to have a signature. And Peggy has worked on that with us in the past, of layout and things like that, how she does things. And one of the things I do slightly different is on my horizontal layout, after I've decided what my margins will be, is carefully make well, not too carefully, make a sheet of paper, and I've taken a business card and cut notches in it, and I will move that down the page, and it's got a pilot point. So whenever you put your pencil and putting the dots down, when you get to the last dot, you pull it down and insert the notch back at the pencil point, make your dot, 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 and then keep on moving down. Then after that's done, you may want to say whatever piece of work you're doing, put that at the top. But I'll take this to the edge of the table and get my handy dandy T-square. Not one you can't see there. It's pretty good. And these are relieved on the bottom side on that one, on both sides, so that if you're pulling a ruling pen or any pen straight down, that the capillary action won't seep, get back under there and bleed back under your paper. And but what happens is, with that taped to the table, and it's under there, and as you go down, you just move down and line up the dots, or I've got little lines, and I just slide down and make my lines all the way down the paper. And then I'll use cheap paper for starting layouts and things like that. I never use anything that's expensive if I can help it. And by doing that, you can adjust the letter, the lining for it. And if you're doing something like, this is Anne Rabinovich's uncial alphabet, and the layout here is pretty good because it's wider space. And what you can do with this same thing is you move these closer together, but the pen width determines the size of your letter. And if you do a Bill Womack with 3.5 pen widths with a C2 or something like that, they're going to be very heavy and condensed. Then you play with your broad edge pens and find out which one you like, learn that letter. And on cheap paper, then you get a piece of the work paper you're going to do the work on. Start that. And what will happen is this is a grade of paper that it will handle wash and most inks. But what I started out doing, this is just for layout purposes. It's not, and what will happen on this one is going to be left registered.
John, can you put that under the camera so we can see?
It won't be under the camera, unfortunately. That document camera is not working properly. Hang on a second and perhaps we can get it.
It's okay, thank you. Too close.
Too close?
Yeah.
Back off just a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, now, that's fine.
Okay, well,
There.
I was doing it up close because you look carefully at the vertical line spacing on it. You're doing not bad here, but guess what?
It's focusing on you instead of the paper, John.
Move back just a bit.
And
Move back. And let me see if I can get this thing.
right behind it.
Hang on. I've got presets I need to. Okay. Oops, sorry, took the wrong preset. Bear with me. There we go. Okay. Now you can bring it forward just a little bit. Maybe it'll clear up. Okay, it's not.
It's trying to focus on me.
It's focusing on your hand.
It's not.
Put it down on the table.
Will it focus on it? It will focus on
It
me.
should. Bear with me a second. I got to
Yeah.
find my preset.
While he's doing that, drafting tape, and you buy it. And what I found is I found the rolls, but they didn't have the holder, so I made one.
Yeah.
And this came from a box of Cheez-Its. Yeah,
Box of what?
Cheez-Its.
Oh, okay.
And it's got a slick outside edge. What you do is get a piece of sandpaper, and on the edges that you're going to put glue on it, you rub it to get that plastic coated surface on it. That way, white glue will stick to it. And some of this, it's double.
What tape is that?
Hmm?
Masking tape?
Brent,
Yeah, drafting tape. This one is Alvin brand. And this, well,
What's the difference between that and like regular masking?
masking tape will become permanent and it will adhere to your paper and it won't come loose. This will stay in there for 3 or 4 months or even a year.
and you can pull it off.
Yeah, you can stick this down to almost any surface and it'll stay there while you're working. You can just reach up there and lift it up and
Art Center has, they call it artist tape because it's removable. But I get the little thin white and I use it all the
But
time.
John, if I
To
use
take
that,
Work
I
down.
usually rub it against my pants a couple times
And
before
then
I put it
take
down.
off. Doesn't-
Because sometimes drafting tape will stick. And you have a hard time getting it off.
Okay, well, this Alvin brand, I found that with one brand and it went to the garbage can. And like you said, I didn't rub it on my pants to get the stick, most of the stickiness off or get lint on it. So it would only halfway adhere. But this tape,
It's pretty good.
yeah. You can stick it, play with it, and it's been on my table,
Oh, this is Alvin?
yeah. I guess that would come from
Says
Hobby
artist
Lobby.
rate. It's not that good, right? It's not good, that's it. I'm still.
That's nice. That's a lot thinner than some of the drafting paper I've got.
Yeah, and my other roll that I had,
Mhm.
okay, it was probably started about 2005. As I started back doing some drawing and everything layout for contract work. And I went back and bought that roll, and that roll is only 6 years old, I think. And it still works.
I use, I have drafting tape. I use that and I use Scott's, removal, you know. Cause
Yeah,
it's-
some of the Scotch tape's pretty good. The painter's blue tape is somewhat good for like you,
I bet if you're gonna use that, you gotta,
yeah, you gotta rub it because it will go permanent on you
Yeah.
for some reason. And on raw sheetrock, you even have to watch that. But on painted surfaces, it does work mostly. Unless you got some paint that's got grease under it, to pull paint off. But-
John, if you put your hand down by that piece now, we should be able to get it in focus, I think. No, it's focusing on your hand, but it isn't focusing on the paper.
Well, do I need to?
I have no clue. It's
just not.
it's not picking up the blue ink, I think. As part of it. No, it's not picking it up. No, it's got your hand, but it's not picking up the blue ink.
Yeah, it doesn't like that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry about that one, but
Pass it around.
what I was going to show you, it does it on both sides. You look at it and the line spacing is okay till you get to one line. Then all of a sudden, zap, you lose it with the ascenders, one descender. And there's like this line, wasn't too bad till I got right here. So it's the vertical spacing that you have. And while that's being passed around, how many have a table that they can use for drawing or lettering? How many have a T-square? Okay. You know how to use it.
You know,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Because whenever you get mad at someone,
Yeah, but you ruin the T-square.
I've got one at home. It's a post. It's maple with the clear
Plastic.
plastic edges. And on the inside is well worn from sliding up and down the table. But that one is purchased in 1963. And you say, why do you know that? Because I had to go buy it. And after
I have a
school,
couple of Bill Womack's ones like that.
yeah, I had to have some triangles to work at home. So after school one day, I got on the bus and went downtown, went to Ray Williams and bought my architect scale. It was made out of wood, one of the nice ones. And they gave it to me at cost for $6. Back then, you could buy the plastic scales for $1.95, $2.25. But the wooden ones were very expensive. And even if you bought this scale today, if it's K&E on it, it'd be about $30. Yeah, and the plastic scale's about maybe 9 to 12. But
John, on the T-square.
Yeah.
If you're gonna go out and buy a T-square and it has painted numbers on it, don't
buy it.
buy it. It needs to be in size with black ink down in there.
That's what this is.
Yeah, because
This is,
I have worn the letters off of one of them.
that's the reason I've got this one, is because it has, the letters are etched into it.
Yeah.
You can hear that.
John, my granddaughter said, "Now let me help you clean up your studio." This was in Sherrod, I had a studio, and I had 3 T-square, wood and metal and a plastic. And I looked at the garbage, and she had put 2 of them in the garbage. I said, and she said, "You don't need all of those, do you?"
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've got a bunch.
all right.
Don't let my granddaughter clean up your studio.
This is basic that I learned from drafting. When you start lettering, you've got your T-square, you've got your paper, and you use, for right-handers, you use the left-hand edge to work. Reason why? You start in the upper left-hand corner, and with pencil, you work down and to the right. Reason why? This picks up graphite, and as you move it, you shade the paper, and then after a little bit, you're supposed to have a good clean cloth, wipe the back edge and the lead edges, and if you're going like that, of course, you use 30 degrees or 60. All right, left-handers, you have to reverse that. And the main reason, if you're going to use ink, and back in those days, this before you had technical pens, so you had the ruling pens, and you would have, and if you used it like this, tendency is to put the pen, I don't know how to say that. It would be like this, and it's going to put ink under that. So if you do that, this should have 3 layers of your drafting tape on it, and for that album, you need 4. But yeah, and after you leave that tape on so long, it becomes permanent. This one, I use acid to get it off, and it still had residue on it. But that is that way because I was using ruler pen and technical pens the same way. You get it too close, it's going to find, oh, I love that, and hit it, and all of a sudden you got ink spreading under this, and the ink doesn't know to quit. It's a capillary action.
Paper style too.
Yeah.
Whatever paper you're using is some of it sucks it up there.
Well, for the most part, it will do that, but these little things, how many of you have ever used triangle for a horizontal line and put a triangle like that, and then you slide it down like that, back and forth, and get you small work, or for vertical. Yeah. How many of you know what that angle is right there? 15 degrees. Combination of little triangles to do that for small work. And so you're hatching, you put those 2 together, and you thumbs on one, and you slide it with the other hand, mark, keep on going. Peggy's very familiar with that because I don't know where you learned, but a lot of people never learned all these techniques that you can do with the pencil and pen arrangements And
I use those primarily for my margins, you know.
right,
When I want an angle, I usually have a little protractor and I just mark it and then I.
well, yeah.
I
somewhere.
don't know all the angles on that. I'm too many years.
All right, well, basically you've got two triangles. One of them is a 45-90, the other one is a 30-60-90. And if you have two, well, you can use a 45-degree angle and come off of that, and you still get 15. But with those, you divide it to 15 degrees, and I think that's about it. And well, I don't think there's any other garbage down here, but I know listening to Peggy over the years and what she does, I said, okay, I didn't learn it that way, but
Yeah.
some of the instructors we've had, they do the layout, and I think that is not correct because you're putting graphite on your paper unknowingly as you do the layout. And I've got two pencils. And one of these is, I think, maybe a B. This one's 2B, it's a little softer. And when we were having our exhibit out at WKNO Studios, you remember the guy that was walking around doing this? He was looking at every piece, critiquing every one of them. He's reading it. He was looking at what we were doing with the pens, the lifts, all the movements on it. And he came through and he asked, do you have anything out here? I said, yeah. And he says, show me. So he's over there and he went up, he looked at it, and he went over here and he looked at the beneficent piece. The other ones, he says, I can see lines guidelines all through that. You don't have any guidelines. How did you do that? And I said, well, I was taught to pull that pencil across without a lot of pressure on it, just the weight of the pencil with a B lid. It will leave a nice line that you can see. And then after it's done, you can take an eraser and go back and gently take those lines off.
Now, do you not use a light box at all with lines underneath the?
I know some people, I've got that, I've got the light box, but I haven't used it. Because, this one, I've got 3 drafting tables. 2 of them are 31 by 42. And then I've got another one that's about 30 by 42. And I don't really like that one as well, but I'm in the process of altering it, so I'll put a T-square on it. But also, one table is plain, that one I'm putting a T-square on it, the other one's got what they call parallel bar. And that one, it's a straight edge, black plastic, the upper and the lower sides, clear plastic for your see-through guide lines, for guidelines. But inside you've got a piece of, 2 pieces of flexible metal cable. And they go through, it's got 4 rollers, 2 on each end. This line on your right side goes through, comes out, goes up, around the roller, the spring. This one comes up, goes over to the right, down to your straight edge, across. And what it does is those become affixed to the bottom edge of the table. And as you push up and pull down on it, it does not move. It stays perfectly. If you set it at a slight angle, it will stay there. It's a permanent straight edge, and all lines are parallel from the to the top of the table. So all you need is that straight edge, the triangle, and I've got some at home are 14-inch tall, 30-60s, and 10-inch 45. And I'll load that on there and do a 10-inch line, and I go through and do the vertical, or if I want to go slant lines, I can do that. Just move the paper to 10 degrees or 9 degrees, and then I go back and put the white lines for the slant. And so that way, it's easy to do. And in one of our calligraphy 101s, Ann was having the students come in and use a plastic or a wooden straight edge And they were putting the pencil dots down there, measuring off where the spaces go, then coming back, have to take a pencil all the way down. And that was taking 15 minutes of valuable class time. So I went home and put 3 sheets of strap more paper on one of my tractor tables, taped it down, and used the handy dandy line guide that Dan wanted for the height of the letters and X senders and descenders, a little space between the lines. So I went in there and go 3 sheets at a time and moved them all at the angle. Do the slant lines. And so after an hour or so, I created 26 sheets of paper for the class to use. And
Saved you time.
oh yeah, so the next morning they got in there, what is this? It's already lined. Yeah. How long did it take you to do it? I said, well, about 3 or 4 minutes to do the horizontal lines, because I could go down and with that layout sheet on the edge, it's just has to go drop down and just gently put the lines on it. And it saves time that you go back. And as I was trying to show with that piece of paper, you look at it and you visually see one part in there that the ascenders and descenders come too close, or visually you look at it and the line spacing is too close. So I had to go back, and what this involves, there is 9 verses to this point. Well, I'll call it that. And the guy asked me to letter it, and he wanted this style, and he picked it out, and I hadn't done this kind of lettering in about over 25 years. So I've got to relearn all of that stuff. And, you know, if you're calligrapher like Peggy, you can pick up on that pretty quick. But you're more active, and I'm not. And if you don't letter and keep in practice, it goes away. You have to relearn. And I think that's one of the things with looking at Vespasian Psalter. You remember the certificate I did for Dennis Erb? Those letters were created at about 850 AD, maybe 825 to 880. And the size of those letters are only 1/8 of an inch tall in the book. But Bodleian Library in England made a full-size copy. And you look at it, it says enlarged. And you measure the letters, and they're about almost 1/4 inch high, maybe 3/16. And that way you can see the delicate pen movements, and it's highly manipulated doing this. And I think the quill is purple in order to, and you rock it to get to, when you come around like the letter E, you make the curve at the top and heavy, you know, and you come around. When you get to the bottom, you have to gently twist to get a vertical or near vertical circle. You come back to the top, and maybe I'm not know for sure if they started out with a vertical, twisted it to go back to very narrow, it's a crown across the top, and then twist the pen to come back wide across the left side of the letter. Then in the middle of that, that E is almost horizontal. They get to the end, and they turn the pen, and you got a flared circle. And Peggy did that, and she says, she brought one piece in, she says, I'm not going to do any more because it was hard. And
Peggy's best idea that she gave me was, and I guess you have a given her. She said, when you're not busy doing anything, you're not busy, go ahead and rule your paper. You know, you can always erase it, do it lightly, and so that it's all set up for when you get ready to write. And so I went home and started ruling papers, but it was very convenient to have already done.
yeah, if you're not doing anything, rule out a sheet of paper and lay it aside. And
That's the part of it is getting that.
yeah, But if you've got some good music, if you can keep speed with that. Yeah.
Stay awake for it.
Now, have you ever heard of Danny Davis and the Nashville Brass?
No,
Okay. The songs that the beat that fast, and you're listening to fiddles, the steel guitars, trumpets mostly, and it's fast. And I would go in and play that record and start working on timber map, draw it with a pen and doing that 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and draw lines. And you're listening to that. And my brother came over to help, and he says, "What in the world?" And he saw what I was doing. I said, "I need help. I need to have all of these letters put in. P for pine, H for hardwood, PH is pine hardwood mix." And it was 1 million acres of standing timber. That excludes roadways, fields, and stuff like that. And it was covering the eastern half of Texas. And this was a project for Temple Industries. And what they had is, believe it or not, you go in, you cut the timber. You go back and clear off the grass and stuff. So you plant new seedlings. And then 10 years, you go in, you look at it, and you take out every other seedling. So that basically puts them at 20 feet apart. So if it's 10 feet, they're going to grow fast and strong, straight up. And what they want is a little slower growth, straight. And then they get over into 20-year harvest, 30-year harvest, 40-year harvest. For the hardwoods, 75-year harvest. So what, I'm doing stuff for people. This was in the 80s. This was doing stuff for people that would leave these maps aside for a long time. But I was doing a lot of ink drawings and a lot of layout. And of course, with that, I was using linen, and I was having to put borders on that. And down in the corner, it has a little vertical, and it has a special design S on it for CD Shine Company. And that one I think was made, I don't know how many hundred I did, but I bought all of the tracing cloth that Ray Williams had, went to Campbell Blueprint, bought what they had, and cut it. Because it was it. All they had was 8 by 10s or 9 by 12, mostly 8 by 10. And these maps were 12 by 18. Mostly, yeah. So, and so layout, ink, and anyway, questions about how you do layout. I know Peggy may have an answer to it, but anybody have questions about how you do this, the layouts and things like that?
Can I see your, not that one, that one, yeah. Actually, what I'm going to do is,
Let's put them in there. And this is almost the base guideline. You can put that red tape on it. And the business card, if you notice, is what I had left over when I retired.
What are you cutting it with?
Exactly right.
Okay.
And do you have a cutting pad?
Yeah.
Okay. I happened to find.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Microlux. That was a free gift,
That's a good one.
and that one has got hundreds or thousands of vegetables. It works pretty well. It hasn't started chipping out. And
Yeah. I've got some. I've got mine about myself.
yeah, I've got that too.
Yeah.
So it was I've got one that's,
I've got one.
oh, yeah.
Mine got warped. It was-
Yeah, he got a bubble. Mine ain't got I keep it laying flat. And what is that thing? It's about 24 to 30.
They're just expensive.
Yeah.
I can still use it, don't get me wrong, but it's
Yeah, about.
Did you see that strip?
yeah.
Well, it had that business card and most anybody's business card. Well, what really works is you got the one with a glossy side on it. Leave that on the bottom and just slide it up and on paper.
Fine.
Yeah. And that way, after you cut it. That one, you can totally when you start with another one or line, the second one below it, or maybe the third,
Yeah.
turn it up on the edge and you've got 4 sides to work with.
I hadn't thought about that. That's something I will try.
Is, you need a card?
I threw a whole slew of them away. We went through and we don't need that, we don't need that, we don't, and this was,
Yeah,
Yeah.
the very thing you threw away is what you want.
Yeah, when I was consulting, all these architects, engineers, contractors would hand me business card.
have you seen them?
What's in this way?
George hasn't seen it.
Oh, okay.
It came to me before it went to George.
Okay.
And you pass it across. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that was, I was doing something with the browse bins.
Okay, so I see what you did. You drew a line and you cut to the line.
Right,
Okay,
it's a bad line. You notice, I needed a slick surface.
yeah. That looks familiar.
Yeah,
How long have you been using that little card, the little slots in the card?
Oh, that lasts a long time.
I guess so.
if you don't jam it in, it will last. I don't know, I did that with 25, 26 sheets of paper. And I'd line it off with that.
I would have thought it would be bent up and everything by now.
Well, you can mess it up if you
Oh, yeah.
have that point there and you keep pushing.
Yeah,
It'll wear, and if you move, sliding it in at an angle, it'll wear it wide.
yeah.
But I have no idea how long you could use one of those.
A long time, but
Well, these,
Yeah, it's a good, if it's good quality card, it should last a while.
yeah,
if you're using it to lay out your guidelines, I always suspect if you use it every day, 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. And it's put them in an envelope someplace. You know,
Yeah.
don't lose it. But that's something I'm gonna try.
so tell me you go about like centering, lettering on a and cell phone.
Well, that me, when I do my sheet,
Heading straight to do the base map.
if I'm
Straight
going to center my letter, I write every little thing. Left just. Until I'm sure that it's going to be the same length as the top of the columns.
Yeah.
Then I take that line, so I divide it. And then I divide over. I try to put it on the good sheet for center over
Too hard.
and then over. I mean.
Yeah, it's so long.
Yeah, but one myself, it's so hot.
Your letter.
And that sheet that I originally.
However,
It's right under the one. You put the first.
So a lot of good ideas.
Centered.
Well, it's got-
Line through the.
The seven was for.
Each one, one line right here, and one here, you know.
It was reset. Well, I've got a friend.
It's all just not flying down.
And he was the house. And I worked for Schumann. I said, yeah.
That's kind of, that is, you know.
I said, yeah, we had. That's in my work.
That's the boy. Water.
He was, he's